I just got around to watching what I think for most people is their most anticipated sort of superhero or Marvel project of the year. I'm talking about Daredevil Born Again. Yes, the first 2 episodes are now out on Disney+. This sort of continuation of the Netflix Daredevil show. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, superhero TV show ever. We had 3 incredibly dark, grim, brutal seasons that follow the character of Matt Murdock, who of course is the blind superhero vigilante Daredevil as he deals with the problems of Hell's Kitchen, New York, including the incredible villain of Kingpin. Those 3 seasons are absolutely amazing and epic, and when the show was canceled all the way back in 2018, I believe it was a shot in the balls for a lot of us big Daredevil fans out there, and we've been waiting years to see how the character of Daredevil would be brought back into the fold at the MCU. And we got a glimpse of him in Spider-Man No Way Home, and another glimpse of him in She-Hulk that was not really great. And we had been waiting to see how Marvel was going to handle this character in his own project. Was it going to be a reboot just with the same actors that ignored the Netflix continuity? Would it be a direct continuation, essentially Daredevil Season 4? Well, now we have kind of a weird Frankenstein's monster mashup of a show that kind of gives a little bit of everything. And I have some mixed opinions on these first 2 episodes. Now, before I go into my actual review of these 2 episodes, I want to make it very clear to all of you, this is not my review of the show or of the season. There have been times I have made a first reaction video and not been very happy with the first couple episodes of a season, and then by the end of the season have raved about the show. Like, that has happened on this channel before, so no matter what I say, whether I love it or hate it, just know it's not an overall review for the show, it's just my first feelings and reaction. For example, I gave a not-so-positive review of the first episode of Severance. And now every week I am absolutely just over the moon excited to watch it because of how good it's been. So yeah, I was wrong, or just did not love the first episode, and it wasn't really a good reflection of what the rest of the season would be. So in saying that, I'm very mixed on these first 2 episodes. There are things that I really enjoyed about them, and things I'm very concerned about. And I see a lot of people kind of have the same feelings. It's really a mixed bag of reviews out there. There's people that absolutely love this, and there's people that are, I think, feeling a little bit like me, where there's something off about these first 2 episodes, and something off about the show in general. So Daredevil Born Again follows Matt Murdock years after Season 3 of Daredevil, it appears. It appears that this is sort of a continuity continuation from that show. They do reference moments in that show. There are characters that come back, although there are certain things that they ignore from that show. For example, the end of Season 3, when Matt Murdock beats the crap out of Kingpin and is like, "If you ever get out, I will take Vanessa from you. I beat you!" So that brilliant scene. Yeah, they kind of ignore that. They ignore pretty much everything that transpired there. But for the most part, this is a continuation, and we follow Matt Murdock at a point in his life where something horrible happens. Something really, really bad that I won't spoil, that might piss off some fans. I was okay with. But he loses something, and because of that loss, he decides to cross a line that Daredevil has never crossed before, and because of that, decides to stop being Daredevil to go be a lawyer, because you know what? He can't trust himself. He can't trust that he won't cross that line again. So we cut a year into the future, and Daredevil is now a lawyer, just being a lawyer and doing lawyer stuff, and Kingpin is the mayor, and he's trying to take out vigilantes. He's saying, no more vigilantes, I don't want to see any vigilantes in New York. And Matt Murdock gets tied up in defending this other vigilante. There's some stuff going on with the police, and we have all these different parties that, of course, are eventually going to come together in a big conflict by the end of the show. So right now, we just have a bunch of different chess pieces set up, and we don't know exactly how they're going to be played. We don't know what the larger story is. All we know is that Matt Murdock is not Daredevil, probably going to become Daredevil again, and Kingpin is the mayor. Not really a terrible dude at the moment, but probably going to become a terrible dude again, and they're going to clash, and we're going to have another season of Daredevil. Some things I really like about the show. First things first, seeing all these actors come back. Seeing Charlie Cox back as Daredevil where he belongs. He belongs in this role. He belongs playing this character. I love him in this role, and he is great here and clearly enjoying being back in this role. It was also nice seeing some of the other characters from the original Daredevil come by. I don't want to talk too much about them because there are some story elements with them that are spoilery, so I don't want to go too much into that, but seeing them, even in the brief moments, was nice. Of course, Kingpin being back is great. You know, he is so good in this role, and I can't wait to see more of him, and yeah, a part of me has just felt so down on the Kingpin character ever since I watched Kate Bishop beat the living crap out of him. I don't know if you could really recover from that, but they're gonna try. There's a brilliant scene between Kingpin and Daredevil talking in like a diner, and like that stuff was just brilliant, really brought me back to the original Daredevil show. Also, Bullseye, the first opening like act of this whole series. The beginning, the opening sequence of the show is easily the best part of the show so far, and it includes Bullseye, and if you watch season 3 of Daredevil, you know Bullseye was a big part of that, but it was really teased that he would be an even bigger part of an eventual season 4 that never came. So getting to see kind of that payoff here of like a full Bullseye versus Daredevil fight was really awesome, and I hope to see more of him. And although there are some gripes that I have in the fight I'll get into in a second, it was cool to see. Some issues I have with the show, though. I got a few. First off, and this might be a purposeful thing, it just doesn't feel like the Netflix show, and maybe that's what they were intending. I don't know. There's a grittiness to that Daredevil show, a low-budget, gritty, dark, brutal muddiness that I'm missing here. This feels too clean. It feels too big budget and Disneyed. Everything is sparkling clean. It looks like it was shot on a soundstage. You know, it doesn't feel as dark and brutal as I kind of want it to. And I don't know if it's because of the budget, because it has a larger budget and they can use better cameras and be more cinematic, but sometimes just because you can do that doesn't mean you should, because that grittiness is a part of the appeal. For example, we just had the Penguin TV show, which kind of captured that same grittiness that those Daredevil Netflix shows did. And I'm kind of missing that here. It just feels a little too clean. And maybe that'll change later in the season, I don't know. I also feel like there is a Frankenstein's monster sort of vibe going on here. What I mean by that is, like, for example, the new Captain America movie, where it's very clear that that thing was reshot and re-scripted a billion times. So you kind of get this weird mess of a vision in this film that just doesn't make sense. This show, I can kind of feel that in the early episodes. And of course, we know this show was reworked. Halfway through shooting the show, they kind of scrapped everything they had shot and reworked it to be sort of a Daredevil season 4. Whereas originally it was going to be a full-on reboot. Now, because of that decision, I'm assuming they still used bits and pieces of things that they shot originally. For example, you have kind of a whole new supporting cast of characters that I don't remember them from the old show. Listen, if I'm wrong and they were in the old show, let me know, call me an idiot. But these all feel like new characters. I don't know where they came from, and they're like the main supporting cast now. And it's like, I feel like these were meant to be the rebooted team of, you know, Matt Murdock's lawyer partners. And I just don't care about any of them. I just want the old cast. And there are some like vibe shifts, some really like comedic moments, some like things that just don't feel like they connect with some other parts of the show on a vibe sort of basis, on a tone basis. Even Kingpin, a lot of the early parts of Kingpin, I mean, he feels kind of like a completely different character than sort of the stuff we've seen in the past in the Netflix shows. I will say it is nice seeing James Gandolfini's kid here. He's great. Tony Soprano's child, hanging out with Kingpin, something about that, it clicked with me. There's also an over-reliance on CGI so far. One of the big things that I love about Daredevil, and really all of those Netflix shows, like, I'll put all together, is that they didn't rely on CGI. When they did fight scenes, specifically in Daredevil, and they had those long, one-shot hallway scenes, those scenes felt, and I know there was a little effects here and there, a little CGI, but they felt real. They felt like real, gritty, hand-to-hand combat that took hours and months of rehearsals to put together. It felt brutal and hard-hitting and real, which is why those scenes are so memorable. And this show opens up with this long hallway fight between Daredevil and Bullseye, and like 85% of it is completely CGI. And it doesn't really look good at all. It actually looks awful and a little lazy. And I don't know if that scene was CGI because it was a reshoot or for one reason or another. I don't know. But it is disappointing to see a scene that very much could have been done practically. Like, the stuff in this fight scene, outside of, like, some of the Bullseye throwing stuff, but, like, the actual hand-to-hand fighting could have been done without CGI, and I don't understand why the decision was made to just do the whole thing as CGI. Now, in another movie, with another character, in another TV show, I would be saying, you know what, it's CGI, but it was still awesome. But for Daredevil, for a show and a character that's known for these gritty, practical fights, it just kind of left me feeling a little bummed out. Like, there's a moment where he's on the roof with Bullseye, and he literally just punches him. And that punch was CGI'd. And it's like, they couldn't get him on a roof and just do that practically? Like, it's frustrating, and it just screams Disney to me. There also is, like, a little bit of a cop-out. I can't really go into too much depth with the spoiler part of it, but there is a moment, you know, the whole show is kind of living on this moment where Daredevil crosses the line, and it's a dark moment, and I think it's done very well, but almost immediately after you do the time jump, there's a cop-out, and a part of the cop-out I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm glad to see that character still here, but another part it's like, I feel like that whole moment is ruined because that character is still here. That character needed to not be here anymore. If you've watched the episode, you know what I mean, but it felt like a cop-out, and it makes the decision that Daredevil makes on that rooftop feel lesser. I don't know, overall, I just feel mixed about this. I'm not really engaged in the show to a point where I'm super excited for next week's episode. I'm not like, yes, I've been missing this, I miss Daredevil, I'm so happy it's back. I'm just like, There's stuff I like, there's stuff I really am not liking. We'll see if the show gets better as it goes on its run. Yet again, I think it's 8 or 9 episode season of television, so there's a lot left. But so far, this feels like Daredevil if it was made by Disney, which of course it is, and it scares me, and it still scares me, and I hope I end up being wrong. I hope the rest of the season picks up a little bit and is a little bit better. We still have The Punisher coming in soon, so that'll be exciting. What do you guys think of it? Are you excited for the rest of the season? Let me know down below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.